The world has gone quiet. Shadows stretch across the walls. Let your thoughts grow soft. A story waits in the stillness. If it brings you peace, like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a night. Now let the story find you. You stand at the edge of a forgotten path, the air heavy with the scent of moss and rain-soaked earth. The village of Yamagiri lies behind you, its lanterns dim and flickering in the twilight. Ahead, a narrow trail snakes through the forest, leading to the abandoned temple the villagers only speak of in hushed tones. They say it was once a place of reverence, where priests chanted under cherry blossoms, but now it belongs to the shadows. You've heard the whispers, strange lights in the woods, voices calling from the temple's broken walls. Yet something pulls you forward, a curiosity that outweighs the warnings. Your sandals crunch on the gravel as you step into the trees. The forest closes around you, branches knitting together overhead, blocking out the last of the evening light. Your breath catches as a chill brushes your skin, though the summer air is warm. You've come here chasing a story, a tale to share with your listeners, but the weight of the place feels heavier than you expected. The villagers told you about Hana, a young woman who vanished near the temple decades ago. Some say she was running from a lover's betrayal. Others claim she was drawn to the temple by something unseen. Her name lingers in the village like a half-forgotten song, and you wonder if her story is what calls you now. A twig snaps somewhere to your left. You freeze, heart thudding, but it's only a deer, its eyes glinting before it bounds away. You laugh softly at yourself, shaking off the unease. The path curves, and soon the temple comes into view, its silhouette jagged against the darkening sky. The roof sags, tiles missing like broken teeth, and vines coil around the wooden pillars. You pause at the stone torii gate, its red paint chipped and faded. A faint hum seems to rise from the ground, so soft you might be imagining it. You step through the gate, and the air shifts, heavier now, as if the temple knows you're here. You climb the cracked stone steps, each one uneven beneath your feet. At the top, the temple's entrance yawns open, a dark mouth leading into the unknown. You pull out your flashlight, its beam cutting through the gloom. Dust motes dance in the light, and you notice the faint outline of footprints on the wooden floor, too fresh to belong to the past. Your pulse quickens. Someone's been here recently. You call out, your voice echoing in the empty hall, but no one answers. The silence feels alive watching you. You move deeper, your light sweeping across faded tapestries and a cracked altar. A statue of a fox, its stone eyes gleaming, sits in the corner. You remember the villagers' tales of Inari, the deity once worshipped here, and how foxes were said to carry her messages. You smile, thinking it's just superstition, but the statue's gaze feels too sharp, too knowing. You turn away, focusing on the task at hand. You're here to find something, anything, to bring Hana's story to life. A soft sound stops you, like fabric brushing against wood. You swing your flashlight around, but the hall is empty. Your heart races, and you tell yourself it's just the wind, though the air is still. You notice a small door behind the altar, half hidden by a tattered curtain. Your fingers hesitate at the edge of the cloth, but curiosity wins. You pull it aside, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. The air from below carries a faint sweetness, like cherry blossoms blooming out of season. You take a step down, then another, the wood creaking under your weight. The staircase spirals deeper than you expected, and the walls grow damp, slick with moss. Your flashlight flickers just for a moment and you grip it tighter. At the bottom, you find a small chamber, its walls carved with faded symbols you can't read. In the center, on a stone pedestal, lies a single hairpin, delicate and silver, shaped like a crescent moon. It gleams in your light, untouched by dust. You reach out, your fingers hovering over it, when you hear it. A whisper, soft and clear, saying your name. You spin around, but the chamber is empty. Your breath catches in your throat. The whisper comes again, from no direction you can pinpoint, curling around you like smoke. It's not threatening, not yet, but it feels personal, as if it knows you. You back away from the hairpin, your instincts screaming to leave it untouched. The air grows colder, and you swear you see a shadow move across the wall, too quick to follow. You stumble back up the stairs, your flashlight shaking in your hand. When you reach the main hall again, the temple feels different, like it's holding its breath. You glance at the fox statue, and for a moment you think its head has turned, its eyes locked on you. You blink and it's just stone again. You tell yourself you're imagining things, but your heart won't slow. You step outside, the night air warm against your chilled skin. The forest is silent now, no crickets, no wind. You glance back at the temple, its dark shape looming against the stars. You know you'll come back. The hairpin, the whisper, the story of Hana, it's all pulling you in. For now, you head down the path. The village lights faint in the distance. You can still feel the temple watching you, its secrets waiting in the dark. You wake with a start, the echo of your name still lingering in your ears. The room is dark, the village inn's paper walls glowing faintly with moonlight. You're back in Yamagiri, safe in the futon, but your heart races as if you never left the temple. The memory of the whisper clings to you, soft and insistent, like a melody you can't shake. You sit up, rubbing your eyes, and glance at the small notebook where you jotted down last night's experience. The hairpin, the fox statue, the shadowed chamber, they all feel too vivid to be just a dream. You know you have to return. Morning light filters through the shoshi screens, and you head downstairs to the inn's common room. The owner, a kind-faced woman named Mrs. Sato, pours you tea, her hands steady despite her age. You ask her about the temple, keeping your tone casual, but her smile falters. She tells you the villagers avoid it, especially after dusk. When you mention Hana, her eyes flicker with something like fear. She says Hana was her cousin, a girl with a laugh like wind chimes, who loved too fiercely and trusted too easily. She was engaged to a man named Kato, but he broke her heart, and then she was gone. Mrs. Sato lowers her voice, warning you to stay away from the temple. You nod, but your mind is already elsewhere, fixed on the hairpin and the voice that knew your name. You spend the day wandering Yamagiri, hoping to uncover more about Hana. The village is small, its streets lined with wooden houses and blooming hydrangeas. You stop at a tiny shrine where an old man sweeps the steps. He introduces himself as Taro, the groundskeeper, and seems eager to talk. You ask about Hana, and he leans on his broom, his eyes distant. He tells you she was seen with a stranger before she vanished, a woman in a white kimono who no one knew. The villagers thought she was a traveler, but Taro swears she moved like she didn't belong to this world. You feel a chill, remembering the shadow in the temple. Taro warns you not to chase ghosts, but his words only fuel your resolve. As the sun dips low, you find yourself back at the forest's edge, the temple path stretching before you. You brought a stronger flashlight this time, and a small recorder to capture anything unusual for your channel. The air feels heavier tonight, the trees whispering in a breeze you can't feel. You step onto the path, your footsteps muffled by pine needles. The forest seems to watch you, its silence deeper than last night. You reach the temple faster than you expect, its broken silhouette waiting like an old friend. The torii gate looms ahead, and you pause, your fingers brushing the chipped paint. The hum is there again, faint but undeniable, vibrating in your chest. You climb the steps, your flashlight cutting through the dark. The main hall feels familiar now, the fox statue still in its corner, its stone eyes glinting. You avoid looking at it too long, focusing instead on the door behind the altar. You descend the spiral staircase, the air growing colder with each step. The chamber is just as you left it, the hairpin gleaming on its pedestal. You set up your recorder, pressing the button to capture the silence. You speak softly, describing the room for your listeners, your voice steady despite the prickle on your skin. You step closer to the hairpin, its silver curve catching the light. You don't touch it, but you feel it pull, like it's calling you. The air shifts and you hear it again, the whisper of your name, clearer this time. It's a woman's voice, soft and sorrowful, coming from the walls themselves. You turn, your flashlight sweeping the chamber, but there's nothing. Your recorder hums quietly, and you hope it's catching this. You call out, asking who's there, but the only answer is the echo of your voice. A shadow moves at the edge of your vision, and you spin, heart pounding. For a moment you think you see her, a figure in a white kimono, her hair long and dark, standing just beyond the light. You blink and she's gone. Your breath comes fast, but you force yourself to stay calm. You're here for answers, for Hana's story. You notice something new on the pedestal, a faint carving beneath the hairpin, a name etched in old kanji. You lean closer, tracing the characters with your finger. It reads Hana. Your stomach twists. You step back, and the whisper comes again, not your name this time, but hers. Hana. It's louder, almost pleading. You feel a sudden warmth behind you, like someone standing too close. You turn, but the chamber is empty. Your recorder beeps, its battery low, and you curse under your breath. You need to leave to process this, but the temple feels alive now, its walls pressing in. You climb the stairs, your footsteps echoing too loudly in the quiet. Back in the main hall, the fox statue seems closer to the altar than before, though you tell yourself it's impossible. You hurry outside, the night air sharp against your face. The forest is still, but you feel eyes on you, not threatening, but curious, waiting. You check your recorder, but the file is corrupted, filled with static and a faint hum that sounds like a voice. You'll try to salvage it later for your channel, but for now you need to get back to the village. You walk quickly, the temple fading behind you. Hana's name echoes in your mind, and you wonder if she's the one calling you, or if something else is using her voice. The village lights appear through the trees, and you feel a strange mix of relief and longing. You know you'll return tomorrow, drawn to the temple's secrets like a moth to a flame. You sit at the small wooden table in your room at the inn, the morning light pale and thin through the shoshi screens. Your notebook lies open, filled with scribbled thoughts about the temple, Hana, and the whisper that won't leave you alone. The corrupted recording from last night sits on your phone, its static hum mocking your efforts to capture proof. You've tried listening to it again, but all you hear is that faint voice, too garbled to make out. You know you're not imagining things, not after seeing that shadow, not after reading Hana's name carved into the stone. The temple is pulling you back, and you're not sure if it's curiosity or something deeper driving you. You head downstairs, where Mrs. Sato is sweeping the porch. She notices the shadows under your eyes and offers you a bowl of miso soup, her gaze lingering like she knows you went back to the temple. You ask her about the woman in the white kimono Taro mentioned, and her hands pause mid-sweep. She tells you it's just a village legend, a story about a spirit who lingers near the temple, searching for someone she lost. You press for details, but Mrs. Sato shakes her head, muttering about bad luck. You thank her for the soup and step into the village, determined to find answers elsewhere. The streets of Yamagiri are quiet, the air thick with the promise of rain. You wander to the local tea shop, a cozy place with low tables and cushions. The owner, a young man named Ren, greets you with a warm smile. You've seen him around, always cheerful, but today his eyes hold a flicker of curiosity when you mention the temple. You ask about Hana, keeping your voice light, and he leans closer, lowering his tone. He says his grandfather knew her, that she was heartbroken after Kato left her for another woman. Ren hesitates, then adds that some believe Hana never left the temple, that her spirit is tied to it. You feel a chill, remembering the whisper, but you nod, encouraging him to go on. Ren tells you about a festival held long ago when Hana was still alive. It was a night of lanterns and music meant to honor Inari, the fox deity. Hana was there, laughing, her hairpin glinting in the firelight. But after Kato's betrayal, she stopped coming to the village, retreating to the temple instead. Ren's voice softens as he describes how the villagers found her shawl near the temple's gate, torn and abandoned the night she vanished. You ask about the woman in the white kimono, and Ren's smile fades. He says he's seen her himself just once, standing at the forest's edge, her face hidden by her hair. You swallow hard, the image of the shadow in the temple flashing in your mind. You leave the tea shop, your thoughts swirling. The sky is gray now, clouds heavy over the mountains. You decide to visit the temple again, but first you stop by the village archive, a small building filled with dusty records. The librarian, an elderly woman with sharp eyes, helps you find a box of old photographs. You sift through them, your fingers brushing faded images of festivals and families. Then you see her, Hana, in a grainy photo, her smile bright, her hairpin catching the light. Next to her stands a man, tall and serious, who must be Kato. You stare at the photo, feeling a pang of sadness for the girl who loved so fiercely. The temple path feels more familiar now, though no less heavy. You walk slowly, your flashlight tucked in your bag, the recorder freshly charged. The forest is silent, the air damp with coming rain. You reach the temple as the first drops fall, pattering softly on the leaves. The torii gate stands like a sentinel, and you step through, the hum rising around you again. Inside the main hall, the fox statue watches, its stone face unchanged, but somehow sharper. You move to the altar, your eyes drawn to the door leading to the chamber below. You descend the spiral staircase, the air growing colder, the scent of cherry blossoms stronger. The chamber is unchanged, the hairpin still gleaming on its pedestal. You start your recorder, speaking softly about the photo, about Hana's smile. The air feels thick, like it's listening. You step closer to the pedestal, noticing something new, a faint crack in the stone, barely visible. You trace it with your finger and the whisper comes again, your name, soft and urgent. You freeze, your heart pounding. The voice is clearer now, almost desperate, as if it's trying to tell you something. You turn your flashlight, sweeping the walls, and there she is, the woman in the white kimono, standing at the edge of the chamber. Her hair falls over her face, but you know it's her, Hana. She doesn't move, doesn't speak, but you feel her sorrow, heavy and raw. You take a step toward her, your voice trembling as you ask what she wants. She raises her head just slightly, and you catch a glimpse of her eyes, dark and endless. Then she's gone, vanishing like mist. Your recorder beeps, its battery draining again, and you curse softly, frustration mixing with fear. You climb back to the main hall, the rain louder now, drumming on the temple's roof. The fox statue seems to lean closer, though you know it hasn't moved. You step outside, the rain cool against your face, washing away the weight of the chamber. You glance back at the temple, its dark shape blurred by the downpour. Hana's story is clearer now, but so are the questions. Why is she calling you? What does she want you to find? You start down the path, the village lights faint through the rain. You know you'll return, drawn to her voice, to the temple's secrets, to the truth waiting in the shadows. You wake to the sound of rain, softer now, a gentle patter against the inn's roof. Your dreams were restless, filled with flashes of Hana's face, her dark eyes pleading through the veil of her hair. You sit up, the notebook on your bedside table, open to the page where you sketched the hairpin's crescent moon shape. The temple feels closer than ever, its pull tightening around you like a thread you can't cut. You know you're getting closer to Hana's story, but each step feels like you're sinking deeper into something you don't fully understand. You dress quickly, the air cool and damp, and head downstairs, determined to find more answers before returning to the temple. Mrs. Sato is in the kitchen, her hands busy with dough for the day's bread. You ask her about Kato, the man in the photograph with Hana. Her movements slow, and she sighs, wiping flour from her hands. She tells you Kato was charming but selfish, a merchant's son who promised Hana everything and gave her nothing. After he left her for a wealthy girl from a neighboring town, Hana changed, her laughter fading. Mrs. Sato's voice trembles as she recalls finding Hana's shawl near the temple, its edges torn as if caught on something sharp. She begs you to be careful, her eyes searching yours. You nod, but the temple's call is louder than her warnings. You decide to visit Taro again, hoping the old groundskeeper knows more. You find him at the village shrine, arranging offerings of rice and sake. He greets you with a nod, his broom leaning against a stone lantern. You mention the woman in the white kimono, and his face tightens. He tells you about an old tale, one the villagers rarely share. Long before Hana, another woman, a yam, was said to have loved a man who served Inari at the temple. When he died in a fire, a yam bound her spirit to the temple, vowing to protect it. Taro's voice drops as he says some believe a yam still lingers, guiding lost souls or trapping them. You think of the shadow, the whisper, and wonder if a yam and Hana are connected. The rain has stopped by the time you leave the shrine, the sky a pale gray. You stop by the tea shop where Ren is wiping down tables. You show him your sketch of the hairpin and his eyes widen. He says it sounds like the one Hana always wore, a gift from her mother. He hesitates, then pulls out a small charm from his pocket, a fox carved from wood. He says it's for protection, something his grandfather gave him after he saw the woman in the white kimono. He presses it into your hand, his fingers warm against yours. You thank him, slipping the charm into your pocket, its weight reassuring. The forest path to the temple feels shorter today, the trees less oppressive under the cloudy sky. You clutch your flashlight and recorder, the fox charm a quiet presence in your pocket. The torii gate stands ahead, its red paint brighter in the daylight, though the hum is still there, low and steady. You step through, the air shifting, heavier now, like the temple is waiting for you. The main hall is quiet, the fox statue's eyes catching the faint light. You pause, your gaze lingering on it, half expecting it to move. It doesn't, but the air feels charged, like a storm about to break. You head to the staircase behind the altar, your footsteps echoing in the empty hall. The chamber below is colder than before, the scent of cherry blossoms sharp and sweet. The hairpin gleams on its pedestal, untouched, but the crack in the stone seems wider now, jagged like a wound. You start your recorder, describing the room, your voice steady despite the prickle on your skin. You mention a yam, wondering aloud if she's the one calling you, or if Hana's spirit is trapped here. The air grows heavy, and your words falter as the whisper comes again, your name soft and insistent, like a hand brushing your cheek. You turn, your flashlight sweeping the chamber, but it's empty. The whisper shifts, no longer your name but Hana's, drawn out like a sigh. You step closer to the pedestal, noticing something new, a faint shimmer around the hairpin, like heat rising from pavement. You reach out, your fingers hovering, but the fox charm in your pocket grows warm, almost hot. You pull your hand back, heart pounding. The shimmer fades, but the air feels alive, pulsing with something you can't name. You speak into the recorder, describing the sensation, but your voice shakes, betraying your calm. A sound behind you, like a footstep, makes you spin. The woman in the white kimono stands at the chamber's edge, her hair falling over her face. You freeze, your breath catching. She doesn't move, but you feel her gaze, heavy and sorrowful. You whisper her name, Hana, and her head tilts, as if she hears you. You take a step forward, but the air grows cold, and she vanishes, leaving only the echo of your voice. Your recorder beeps, its battery draining again, and you stifle a frustrated sigh. You need to understand her, to help her, but the temple feels like it's holding its secrets just out of reach. You climb back to the main hall, the fox statue's gaze following you. Outside, the sky is darker, the clouds heavy again. You glance at the temple, its broken roof stark against the gray. The fox charm is cool now, but its weight anchors you. You start down the path, the village lights faint in the distance. Hana's story is tangled with a yamas, with the temple, with the whisper that knows your name. You know you'll return, drawn to the truth, to the voices waiting in the dark. You sit on the inn's porch, the evening air cool and damp from the day's rain. The fox charm rests in your palm, its carved surface smooth under your fingers. You've been turning it over, thinking of Hana, a young, and the temple's heavy silence. The whisper of your name echoes in your mind, and you can't shake the image of the woman in the white kimono, her eyes hidden but piercing. Your notebook is open beside you, filled with questions. Is Hana trapped? Is a yam guiding you or warning you? The temple feels like a puzzle, and you're holding pieces that don't yet fit. You know you'll go back, but tonight, you need answers from the village. You wander to the tea shop where Ren is closing up, his apron dusted with flour. He notices the charm in your hand and smiles, asking if it helped. You hesitate, then tell him about the chamber, the hairpin, and the woman in the white kimono. His face pales, and he sets down the rag he's holding. He says his grandfather once spoke of a ritual at the temple, something the priests did to soothe restless spirits. It involved offerings of rice and prayers to Inari, but it stopped after Hana vanished. Ren's voice lowers as he adds that some believe the ritual bound a spirit to the temple, keeping it from moving on. You feel a chill, wondering if that spirit is Hana or Ayam. You ask Ren about Kato, hoping to understand Hana's heartbreak. He leans against the counter, his eyes distant. He says Kato left Yamagiri after Hana disappeared, but rumors followed him. Some said he was cursed, that Hana's sorrow clung to him like a shadow. Others claimed he saw her ghost, pleading with him to return to the temple. Ren shakes his head, saying it's just talk, but you can tell he half believes it. You thank him and leave, the charm heavy in your pocket, your thoughts circling back to the temple. The village is quiet as you walk to the shrine, hoping to find Taro. He's there, lighting a lantern, its glow soft against the dusk. You ask about the ritual Ren mentioned, and Taro's hand still. He says it was called the Binding of the Fox, a ceremony to honor Inari and calm spirits tied to the temple. He describes how the priests would place a sacred object, often a hairpin or mirror, on the altar, believing it held the spirit's essence. You think of the crescent moon hairpin and feel your pulse quicken. Tara warns you that meddling with such objects can stir what's meant to rest. You nod, but the temple's call is stronger than ever. You return to your room and pack your bag, checking your flashlight and recorder. The night is clear, stars sharp above Yamagiri. You step onto the temple path, the forest darker now, the trees looming like silent watchers. The torii gate greets you, its hum louder tonight, vibrating through your bones. You pause, the fox charm warm in your pocket, and step through, the air shifting around you. The main hall is still, the fox statue's eyes glinting in your flashlight's beam. You move to the altar, your footsteps loud in the quiet, and descend the staircase to the chamber below. The air is cold, the scent of cherry blossoms overwhelming. The hairpin glows on its pedestal, the crack in the stone wider, like it's splitting apart. You start your recorder, speaking softly about Taro's story, the binding of the fox, and the possibility that Hana's spirit is tied to the hairpin. The air feels heavy, pressing against your chest. You step closer, noticing a faint glow around the hairpin, pulsing like a heartbeat. You reach out, but the fox charm burns hot, and you pull back, your breath catching. The whisper comes again, your name, soft and clear, followed by Hana's, drawn out like a plea. You turn, your flashlight sweeping the chamber, and see her, the woman in the white kimono, standing closer now. Her hair falls over her face, but you feel her gaze, heavy with longing. You speak her name, Hana, and she lifts her head, her eyes dark and endless, filled with a sorrow that makes your chest ache. You ask what she needs, your voice trembling, but she only points to the hairpin, her hand trembling. You hesitate, the charm burning in your pocket. You step toward the pedestal, the glow around the hairpin brighter now, almost blinding. The whisper grows louder, a chorus of voices now, saying your name, Hana's, and another you can't make out. The air feels electric, like a storm trapped in the chamber. You reach for the hairpin, your fingers brushing its cool surface, and the world shifts. The glow flares, and you see her clearly, Hana, her face pale but beautiful, her eyes pleading. She mouths a single word, Kato, before the light swallows her. You stumble back, the hairpin still on the pedestal, the glow gone. Your recorder beeps, its battery dead again, and you curse under your breath. The chamber feels empty now, the air lighter, but your heart races. You climb the stairs, the fox statue's gaze heavy as you pass. Outside, the night is still, the stars brighter than before. You clutch the charm, its warmth fading, and start down the path. Hana's face lingers in your mind, her plea for Kato echoing like a song. You know you're closer to her truth, but the temple's secrets are deeper than you imagined, and you'll return to face them. You lie awake in the inn, the moonlight casting soft shadows across the tatami floor. Hana's face haunts you, her eyes wide with sorrow, her lips forming Kaito's name. The fox charm sits on the table, its carved surface catching the light, and you wonder if it's protecting you or warning you. Your notebook is filled with fragments of her story, the hairpin, the binding of the fox, Ayama's legend. You're starting to feel like the temple is weaving you into its history, each visit pulling you closer to something you can't yet name. You know you need to find out more about Kaito to understand why Hana's spirit clings to his name. Morning brings a soft mist over Yamagiri, the village streets quiet and glistening. You head to the tea shop, hoping Rin knows more. He's there, pouring tea for an elderly couple, his smile warm but distracted. You wait until the shop empties, then ask about Kato, mentioning Hana's plea in the temple. Ren's hands falter, and he sets the teapot down. He says Kato's family still lives on the edge of the village, in a house overgrown with ivy. His sister, Mio, might know something, though she rarely speaks of him. Ren warns you that Mio is private, guarded, but you thank him and leave, the fox charm heavy in your pocket. You find Mio's house easily, its wooden walls weathered, vines curling around the eaves. You knock, and a woman in her 50s answers, her eyes sharp but kind. You introduce yourself, saying you're researching the village's history, and ask about Kaito. Mio's face tightens, but she invites you in, her home warm with the scent of cedar. Over tea, she tells you Kaito was her older brother, charming but restless. He loved Hana, she says, but their father pushed him to marry for wealth, not love. When he broke things off, Hana ran to the temple, and Kaito was never the same. Mio's voice cracks as she admits he blamed himself, leaving Yamagiri soon after. You ask if he ever mentioned the temple, and Mio hesitates, saying he spoke of dreams, of Hana calling him back. You feel a chill, the echo of her whisper in your mind. Mio shows you an old letter, its paper brittle, written by Kaito before he left. It's addressed to Hana, full of apologies, promises to return. You read it slowly, your heart heavy with his regret. Mio says he never sent it, and you wonder if that's why Hana's spirit lingers. You thank her and leave, the letter's words burning in your thoughts. The mist has thickened, cloaking the village in gray, and you decide to head to the temple, driven by the need to connect Kato's words to Hana's plea. The forest path is slick with mist, the trees silent and watchful. You clutch the fox charm, its warmth steadying you as you reach the torii gate. The hum is stronger now, pulsing like a heartbeat. You step through, the air cool and heavy, and enter the main hall. The fox statue stands in its corner, its eyes glinting as if it knows your purpose. You move to the staircase, your flashlight casting long shadows, and descend to the chamber below. The scent of cherry blossoms is sharp, almost dizzying, and the hairpin gleams on its pedestal, the crack in the stone wider, jagged like a scream. You start your recorder, speaking softly about Kato's letter, his regret, and Hana's plea. The air feels alive, pressing against you, and you pull out the fox charm, holding it like an anchor. You step closer to the hairpin, its glow pulsing faintly. You speak to Hana, your voice steady, telling her about the letter, about Kato's sorrow. The whisper comes, your name first, then hers, soft and urgent. You feel a warmth behind you, and you turn, expecting the woman in the white kimono. Instead, the chamber is empty, but the air shimmers like a veil thinning between worlds. You kneel by the pedestal, your fingers brushing the stone, avoiding the hairpin. You speak again, promising to find a way to help her, to bring her peace. The whisper shifts, no longer your name but Kaito's, repeated like a prayer. The glow around the hairpin flares, and you see her Hana standing at the chamber's edge. Her kimono is white, her hair falling over her face, but her eyes are clear now, filled with a desperate hope. She points to the hairpin, then to you, her hand trembling. You feel the fox charm burn hot, and you pull back, your heart racing. The air grows heavy, the whisper louder, a chorus of voices now saying Kato, Hana, and another name, Ayam. You stumble back, the glow fading, and Hana is gone. Your recorder beeps, its battery drained, and you sigh, frustration mixing with awe. The chamber feels different now, like it's waiting for you to act. You climb the stairs, the fox statue's gaze heavy as you pass. Outside, the mist is thick, the temple's shape barely visible. You start down the path, the village lights faint through the fog. Hana's plea, Kaito's letter, and Ayami's shadow are tangled together, and you know the temple holds the key. You'll return, driven by the need to free her, to unravel the truth waiting in the dark. You sit in your room at the inn, the fox charm resting on the table beside Kato's unsent letter, its words still vivid in your mind. The mist outside has cleared, leaving the night sharp and quiet, but your thoughts are tangled with Hana's plea, her outstretched hand, and the name Ayam whispered alongside hers. You've started to wonder if the temple is more than a place, if it's a bridge between the living and the lost. Your notebook is open, filled with sketches of the hairpin and notes about the binding of the fox. You know you're close to something, a truth that could free Hana. But the temple feels like it's testing you, waiting for you to prove you're worthy. Morning dawns bright, the village bathed in golden light. You head to the shrine, hoping Taro can shed light on Ayami's role. He's there, tending to a small garden of chrysanthemums, his hands gentle despite their age. You ask about Ayam, mentioning the whisper in the chamber. Taro's eyes narrow, and he sets down his trowel. He tells you Ayam was more than a legend, a priestess who served Inari long before Hana's time. When her lover died, she performed the binding of the fox herself, tying her spirit to the temple to protect it. Taro's voice grows quiet as he says some believe Ayame's spirit guides those who seek the temple, but others think she traps them, jealous of their freedom. You feel a chill, wondering if Ayam is the one calling your name. You ask about the hairpin, and Taro's face softens. He says such objects were used in the ritual to hold a spirit's essence, but disturbing them could anger the guardian, Ayam or another. He warns you to bring an offering, something pure, if you return to the temple. You thank him and head to the tea shop, where Ren is sweeping the porch. You tell him about the chamber, the glow, and Hana's plea for Kato. Ren listens, his eyes wide, then suggests you visit the village's old well, where Hana used to sit with Kato. He says it's a place of memories, and you might find something there. You nod, the fox charm warm in your pocket, and set out. The well is tucked behind a grove of bamboo, its stones moss-covered and worn. You sit on its edge, imagining Hana and Kato there, laughing under the stars. You notice a small carving on the well's rim, 2 initials, H and K, entwined in a heart. Your chest tightens, and you speak softly, as if Hana can hear you, promising to help her find peace. The air feels heavy, like it's listening, and you decide it's time to return to the temple, armed with Taro's advice and the weight of Kato's letter. The forest path is bathed in afternoon light, the trees less oppressive, but still watchful. You carry a small offering, a bundle of white chrysanthemums from Taro's garden, their petals soft in your hands. The torii gate hums as you approach, its vibration steadying your nerves. You step through, the air cool and thick, and enter the main hall. The fox statue's eyes gleam, and you pause, feeling its gaze. You place the chrysanthemums on the altar, whispering a prayer for Inari, for Hana, for guidance. The air softens like a sigh, and you feel a flicker of hope. You descend the staircase, the scent of cherry blossoms sharp and sweet. The chamber is colder than before, the hairpin glowing on its pedestal, the crack in the stone wide and jagged. You start your recorder, speaking about the well, the initials, and Kato's regret. You set the fox charm beside the pedestal, its warmth pulsing against your fingers. You kneel, holding the chrysanthemums, and speak to Hana, telling her you've seen Kato's letter, that he loved her despite his mistakes. The whisper comes, your name first, then Hana's, soft and pleading, followed by Ayama's, sharp and clear. You look up, and she's there, Hana, in her white kimono, her eyes bright with tears. She steps closer, her presence heavy with sorrow, and points to the hairpin. You feel the fox charm burn, but you hold your ground, asking what she needs. The air shimmers, and another figure appears, fainter, in a priestess's robes, her face calm but stern. Ayam. She doesn't speak, but her gaze is fixed on you, as if judging your intent. The whisper grows louder, a chorus of names, and the hairpin's glow pulses, bright and unsteady. You place the chrysanthemums beside it, hoping it's enough, and the air stills, the glow softening. Hana's eyes meet yours, and she mouths Kato's name again, her hand reaching out. You feel a pull, like she's asking you to carry her pain. Ayam steps forward, her presence cold, and the whisper fades. Both figures vanish, leaving you alone with the hairpin. Your recorder beeps, its battery gone, and you sigh, the weight of the moment settling over you. You climb the stairs, the fox statue's gaze softer now, almost approving. Outside, the sun is low, casting long shadows through the trees. You start down the path, the chrysanthemums' scent lingering on your hands. Hana's story is clearer, but Ayama's role is a mystery, and you know the temple isn't done with you yet. You wake to the soft creak of the inn's wooden floors, the memory of Hana's tear-filled eyes, and Ayama's stern gaze lingering like a dream you can't shake. The fox charm sits on your bedside table, its surface warm even in the cool morning air. Your notebook is open, filled with sketches of the chamber and notes about the chrysanthemums, the binding of the fox, and Cato's letter. You feel the temple's pull stronger than ever, a quiet insistence that you're close to unraveling its secrets. Today you decide to seek out more about Ayam, hoping to understand her role in Hana's story before you face the temple again. You head to the village archive, the air crisp with the promise of autumn. The librarian, Mrs. Hayashi, greets you with a knowing smile, as if she senses your purpose. You ask about Ayam, the priestess tied to the temple, and she pulls out a dusty ledger, its pages yellowed but intact. She points to a record of the temple's priests, where Ayami's name appears alongside notes about her devotion to Inari. The ledger mentions her lover, a young priest named Daichi, who died in a fire that nearly destroyed the temple. Ayami's grief led her to perform the binding of the fox, tying her spirit to the temple to protect it. You feel a pang, wondering if her presence is what's holding Hana there. Mrs. Hayashi warns you that spirits like Ayam can be protective but jealous, guarding their domain fiercely. You thank her, your mind racing with possibilities. You stop by the tea shop where Ren is arranging flowers in a vase. You tell him about Ayama's story, and he listens, his hands still. He says his grandfather once mentioned a second ritual, the releasing of the fox, meant to free a bound spirit. It required a heartfelt offering, something tied to the spirit's pain, and a prayer to Inari under a full moon. You glance out the window, realizing tonight is a full moon, the sky already clearing for a bright night. Ren offers you a small vial of sake, saying it's traditional for offerings to Inari. You take it, the glass cool in your hand, and thank him, feeling the weight of what you're about to do. The forest path is quiet as you walk to the temple, the sun low and golden. You carry the fox charm, the sake vial, and a folded copy of Cato's letter, hoping it's the key to Hana's peace. The torii gate hums as you approach, its vibrations steady and warm. You step through, the air thick with the scent of pine and something sweeter, like cherry blossoms. The main hall is bathed in fading light, the fox statue's eyes glinting softly. You pause, feeling its gaze, and place the sake vial on the altar, whispering a prayer for guidance. The air feels lighter, like the temple approves. You descend the staircase, the chamber colder than ever, the hairpin glowing brightly on its pedestal. The crack in the stone is wide now, almost splitting it in two. You start your recorder, speaking about Ayami's sacrifice and the releasing of the fox. You set the fox charm beside the pedestal, its warmth pulsing, and pull out Cato's letter, reading it aloud. You speak of his regret, his love for Hana, and your hope to free her. The air grows heavy, the whisper returning, your name first, then Hana's, then Ayami's, soft but urgent. You look up, and Hana is there, her white kimono glowing in the moonlight, filtering through a crack above. Her eyes are bright, tears streaming down her face. Beside her stands Ayam, her priestess, robes stark against the shadows, her gaze calm but piercing. You hold up the letter, offering it to Hana, and speak her name, promising to help her move on. The whisper grows louder, a chorus of voices, and the hairpin's glow flares, bathing the chamber in light. You place the letter beside the hairpin, the sake vial next to it, and kneel praying to Inari for release. The air shimmers, and Hana steps forward, her hand brushing the letter. Her eyes meet yours, filled with gratitude, and she mouths Kato's name one last time. Ayam watches, her expression softening, and you feel a warmth, like the temple is exhaling. The glow fades, and both figures vanish, the chamber suddenly still. Your recorder beeps, its battery drained, and you smile, too overwhelmed to be frustrated. The hairpin is dull now, its glow gone, the crack in the stone sealed. You climb the stairs, the fox statue's gaze gentle, almost grateful. Outside, the full moon hangs low, casting silver light over the temple. You start down the path, the forest quiet but alive, the air lighter than before. Hana's sorrow feels lifted, her story finally heard, but Ayami's presence lingers, a reminder that the temple holds more secrets. You clutch the fox charm, its warmth fading, and head toward the village, knowing you're not done yet. You sit on the inn's porch, the night air cool and sharp under the full moon's glow. The fox charm rests in your hand, its warmth faint now, as if its work is nearly done. Your notebook lies open, pages filled with the temple's secrets. Hana's release, Kato's letter, and Ayami's watchful presence. Last night felt like a turning point, the hairpin's glow fading, the chamber's air lifting. Yet you can't shake the feeling that the temple isn't finished with you. Ayami's stern gaze lingers in your mind, and you wonder if her story, not just Hana's, needs to be told. You know you'll return today, driven to uncover what remains. Morning brings a quiet energy to Yamagiri, the village stirring under a clear sky. You head to the shrine, hoping Taro can offer clarity. He's there, polishing a stone lantern, his hand steady but slow. You tell him about the chamber, the letter, and Hana's departure. His eyes soften, but when you mention Ayam, he pauses, setting down his cloth. He says Ayami's role as the temple's guardian is eternal, her spirit bound to protect Inari's sacred ground. But he adds that some spirits grow weary, longing for rest. He suggests a final offering, something personal, to honor Ayam and seek her blessing. You nod, your thoughts turning to what you could give. You visit the tea shop, where Ren is brewing tea, the air fragrant with jasmine. You share what happened, and he listens, his eyes wide with awe. He says his grandfather once left a poem at the temple, written for Inari, to thank the spirits for their guidance. He offers to help you write one, and you spend the morning crafting simple lines, your words a tribute to Ayami's devotion and a plea for her peace. Ren hands you a small scroll to carry the poem, his fingers brushing yours. You thank him, feeling a quiet resolve, and head to the village market to find one last offering, a sprig of white camellias, symbolizing respect. The forest path is bathed in afternoon light, the trees whispering softly as you walk. You carry the scroll, the camellias, and the fox charm, its weight steady in your pocket. The torii gate hums as you approach, its vibration gentle, almost welcoming. You step through, the air warm and still, and enter the main hall. The fox statue stands in its corner, its eyes softer now, like it knows your intent. You place the camellias on the altar, whispering thanks to Inari, and feel the air shift, lighter, like a door opening. You descend the staircase, the chamber cool but less oppressive, the scent of cherry blossoms faint. The hairpin sits on its pedestal, dull now, the stone whole again. You start your recorder, speaking about Ayam, her sacrifice, and your hope to honor her. You unroll the scroll, reading the poem aloud, your voice steady. Guardian of the fox, your light holds strong. May your heart find rest, your spirit move on. The air feels alive, humming with a warmth you haven't felt before. You place the scroll beside the hairpin, the camellias next to it, and step back, waiting. The whisper comes, not your name this time, but Ayama's, soft and clear, like a sigh of relief. You look up and she's there, in her priestess robes, her face calm, her eyes no longer stern but grateful. She steps toward the pedestal, her hand brushing the scroll, and you feel a warmth, like sunlight breaking through clouds. The air shimmers, and another figure appears, fainter, a young man in priest's robes, his smile kind. Daichi, you realize Ayami's lost love. They stand together, their hands almost touching, and the whisper fades, replaced by a soft hum, like a lullaby. Ayam turns to you, her gaze warm, and nods, as if releasing you. The chamber glows briefly, a soft golden light, and both figures vanish, leaving the air still and peaceful. Your recorder beeps, its battery holding steady for once, and you smile, feeling the weight of the temple lift. The hairpin is unchanged, but it feels lighter, like it's no longer bound. You climb the stairs, the fox statue's eyes gentle, almost smiling. Outside, the forest is alive with birdsong, the sun low and golden. You start down the path, the village lights bright in the distance. The fox charm is cool now, its work done, and you slip it into your pocket, a keepsake of this journey. Ayami's story feels complete, her spirit at rest, and Hana's peace settles over you like a warm blanket. The temple is quiet now, its secrets shared, but you know it will always hold a piece of you. You walk on, ready to share this story with your listeners, to let the whispers of the temple live on in their dreams. You wake to the soft glow of dawn, the end's paper walls golden with morning light. The fox charm rests on your bedside table, cool and still, a quiet reminder of the temple's secrets now laid bare. Your notebook is open, its pages filled with the journey. Hana's sorrow, Kato's regret, Ayami's sacrifice, and Daichi's reunion. The temple feels different now, its weight lifted, but you know one final visit is needed, not to uncover more, but to say goodbye. You pack your bag, tucking the charm and your recorder inside, and step out into Yamagiri, the village alive with the hum of daily life. You stop by the tea shop where Ren is arranging teacups, his smile warm as ever. You tell him about Ayami's release, the poem, and the vision of Daichi. His eyes widen and he says the village feels lighter today, like a shadow has lifted. He offers you a small bundle of incense, saying it's for farewells, to honor those who've moved on. You thank him, feeling a pang of fondness for his quiet support, and head to the shrine to see Taro one last time. He's there, sweeping the steps, his face brightening when he sees you. You share what happened, and he nods, saying the temple hasn't felt this peaceful in years. He hands you a single white lotus flower, a symbol of closure, and you clutch it gently, grateful for his wisdom. The forest path is bright under the morning sun, the trees swaying softly, as if waving you forward. You carry the incense, the lotus, and the fox charm, their weight grounding you. The torii gate stands ahead, its hum faint now, like a distant memory. You step through, the air warm and clear, and enter the main hall. The fox statue greets you, its eyes soft, almost content, as if Inari herself approves. You light the incense on the altar, its smoke curling upward, and place the lotus beside it, whispering thanks to Hana, Ayam, and the temple for trusting you with their stories. You descend the staircase one last time, the chamber quiet, the scent of cherry blossoms gone. The hairpin sits on its pedestal, plain silver now, no glow, no whisper. You start your recorder, speaking softly about the journey, how Hana found peace through Kato's letter, how Ayam reunited with Daiichi. Your voice is steady, filled with a quiet pride for what you've done. You set the fox charm beside the hairpin, a final offering, and step back, feeling the chamber's stillness wrap around you like a warm embrace. The air shifts, and you sense them before you see them. Hana, her white kimono bright, her smile free of sorrow. Ayam, her priestess robes flowing, her face calm. And Daiichi, his hand finally touching hers. They stand together, their presence light, like a breeze carrying them away. Hana's eyes meet yours, and she nods a silent thank you. Ayami's gaze is warm, her sternness gone, and Daiichi's smile is kind, like a friend you've always known. The air hums softly, and they fade, leaving the chamber empty but peaceful. Your recorder holds steady, capturing the silence, and you smile, knowing this recording will be special for your listeners. You climb the stairs, the fox statue's eyes following you, gentle and final. Outside, the forest is alive with light, the trees rustling as if whispering their own farewell. You pause at the torii gate, looking back at the temple, its broken roof soft against the sky. It feels like home, in a way, but you know it's time to leave. You start down the path, the village lights bright and welcoming in the distance. You think of your listeners, how they'll hear this story under their own moonlight, feeling the temple's whispers in their dreams. The fox charm is gone, left behind, but its warmth lingers in your heart. You reach Yamagiri, the village bustling now, and feel a quiet joy, knowing Hana and Ayam are free, their stories told. You'll carry this with you, a tale of love, loss, and release, ready to share with the world. Some stories stay with us long after the words fade. Let this one rest beside you. Sleep deeply, and if it returns in your dreams, perhaps it was never truly gone.